The man they call Mad Max is a Baltimore Raven. 2 first-round picks for the Las Vegas Raider rebuild. But the Baltimore Ravens, man, they're back. Maxx Crosby is going to make sure that the Ravens are back. Lamar Jackson was sending these signals. Is it Crosby? Is it A.J. Brown? What does he mean? These cryptic messages on Twitter, man, on the X. This man Lamar, I wasn't sure what he meant. But at the end of the day, we found out what he meant. He meant Maxx Crosby is a Baltimore Raven, guys. Let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing. Let me know. We're live for a reason because Maxx Crosby is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He has been one of the best defensive players in the NFL. I was just live for Bleacher Report. Now I'm live on the BLV, and we're going to break it down, man, in depth here. Maxx Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens, what it means for the Ravens, the Raiders, what it means for the prospects of the Ravens being a contender, and what it means for the Raiders' future, what it means for the AFC, what it means for free agency, and beyond, guys. Thanks for joining. It's Mitch, as you know, and let me know your thoughts because I love to hear them. Let's go. All right, so if you haven't heard, 2 first-round picks is the deal. A first-round pick from the Raiders in 2020, or from the Ravens in 2026, and from the Ravens in 2027. We don't know where their pick will be in 27, but we do know that in 26, it was a down year in 2025 from the Ravens, which means it's a little bit of a better pick than you would typically get from the Baltimore Ravens, who have been picking from anywhere from like 28 to 30, it feels like, the last few seasons. Maxx Crosby is coming off a 10-sack season. Maxx Crosby is 28, turning 29. So he will be 29 once the season begins. He turns 29 on August the 22nd. So, question is, who won the trade? I don't know if we could say anyone won the trade at this moment. Maybe by the end of the video, I'll decide. But I would say this. I think it's the right move for both sides. I think it's the right move for both teams. First of all, the Baltimore Ravens needed Maxx Crosby. They needed a player like this. Their pass rush last year was disgusting, to say the least. It was awful. It was horrible. Once they lost Matabike early in the year, they really couldn't get to the quarterback. And no matter what they did, blitz, rush 4, send 5, try loopers and stunts and disguise rushes, whatever they wanted to do, simulated pressures, none of it really worked to consistently generate pressure. They did get better by the end of the year at stopping the run, but they still could not affect quarterbacks. And we saw that in games against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers with their season on the line. We saw that in games against the New England Patriots and Drake May when they were ahead in the game and they couldn't secure the game because they couldn't sack or get to Drake May. And we saw ultimately that a lot of teams in the playoffs with half a decent defense could actually do that. So the Baltimore Ravens now have what is a true difference maker on defense. There are only so many in this league. There are probably about 10 guys that are as good, as valuable, as talented as Maxx Crosby when it comes to the defensive front and their value to a defense. Maxx Crosby, when you really think about it, is a 5-time Pro Bowler. 5 straight seasons he has been named to the Pro Bowl. 4 times actually, he is an All-Pro. Okay? Never a first-team All-Pro. I don't think. Maybe once in 2022. But 4-time All-Pro regardless of second or first team. If you think about Maxx Crosby and what he's been able to accomplish, Maxx Crosby has done this on a bad team, on a bad franchise, constantly trailing in games with weak defensive lines around him, right? A lot of the best defensive linemen also have other great defensive linemen around them. Maxx Crosby has carried the Raiders defense for years. Now, not suggesting that the Raiders defense has been very good. It's oftentimes actually been better than the individual talents. They have actually been, I would say, season to season, ranking higher than you would expect. And a lot of that has to do with Maxx Crosby because he's a dominant force in the run game. He is arguably the best run stopper at the position in the league for the last few years. He has the highest, most consistent motor in the NFL at this position. Nobody plays more, nobody plays harder, and nobody plays more consistently than Maxx Crosby. The last 2 years, he has missed a couple more games than usual. Part of that has to do with politics from the front office. But when you look at his snaps, there is just no player with that sort of engine. Every down in, down out, this guy is on the field. And every down, he is rather getting to the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback, stopping the run, making a play, tackle for loss. This is why Raider Nation loves Maxx Crosby. Because Maxx Crosby is a fan favorite because of that reason. He is a hard-working player, and he is going to be adored by the Ravens and the Raven Nation because of that work ethic. Okay? That's what stands out to me. He is ferocious, relentless. Those are the adjectives to describe Maxx Crosby and his game. Very, very good in terms of his pass rushing. I would say, better run defender than pass rusher, but overall, he's incredible in both facets. When we look at last season, he had 10 sacks in 15 games. He had an interception last year and 2 forced fumbles, so 3 forced turnovers, 6 passes defense, which was the second highest of his career. 7 in 2021 was his highest. He had 73 tackles, which was the third highest of his career. He had 28 tackles for loss, which was the highest of his career, according to Pro Football Reference. In 23 and 2022, he led the NFL in tackles for loss in consecutive seasons. And his career high for sacks is 14 and a half. He has 4 10-plus sack seasons, including 2019, his rookie year, 2022, 2023, and 2025. Now, how does he fit? I'm really excited because Maxx Crosby is going to a defensive coordinator who I would argue is a top 5 defensive mind in the NFL. His name is Jesse Menter. Now, I kind of thought the Ravens, they might be rebuilding a little bit, retooling a little bit, recalibrating, so to speak. Lamar, what's going on with him? Right? John Harbaugh, it's a new era. Maybe they're going to scrap the team, rebuild certain aspects of it. Maybe they feel like they need to do some things to rebuild this roster. That's exactly not what they did. They gave Jesse Menter an alpha stud for his defense. Think about the Chargers defenses he's had the last 2 years. He's not had a player like this on those defenses up front. Yeah, Khalil Mack's still really good. Thule's pretty good. Owe by the end of the year was a standout. He's had some good players on those Chargers defense front sevens. Henley at linebacker's really good, not a pass rusher. Maxx Crosby, what you're going to be able to do with this guy, I'm looking forward to it in terms of the stunts that Jesse Minter is going to be able to pull off and call, simulated pressures, being able to get to the quarterback with 4 men, right? Think about Mike McDonald. Think about the success of Seattle. Think about the success of Philadelphia. Think about the last 2 Super Bowl champions and their ability to play defense. What was so special about those defenses is their ability to rush the quarterback with 4 people. Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Nolan Smith, etc. in Philadelphia. In Seattle, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, Boye Mafe, Nwosu, etc. Right? Jesse Menter is similar. Jesse Menter wants to play zone coverage, a plethora of 2 high coverages, cover 2, cover 6, cover 4, and he wants to mix and match those coverages behind a 4-man pass rush. Now, sometimes he might send a simulated pressure. One guy's coming, one guy's dropping. But typically, you're going to see 4 guys getting to the quarterback. And that has been a formula for teams to have a lot of success. The Texans are another example of this. What the Texans have done defensively. They're a lot simpler in the back end. They play a much faster, more aggressive style of football in their linebacker level and their secondary. But same idea. Getting to the quarterback with a 4-man pass rush. So Baltimore wants to build that for Jesse Menter, and it starts with a guy that demands a double team, demands the attention of the offense, demands the attention of the back who's in protection. He's always got to look at Maxx Crosby. The quarterback's always got to know on every play, where's Maxx Crosby? I've got to check to him. I've got to know where he's at every play. Right? We've got to be able to chip on one side where Maxx Crosby is. Typically, Maxx Crosby is the left end. So he's rushing against the right tackle most of the time. Okay? And like I said, this guy does not come off the field. And when we talk about the best defensive players, the most impactful defensive players in the NFL, Maxx Crosby is on that list. It's not a very long list. Maxx Crosby is on that list. And like I said, he's finally going to be on a team that, think about Baltimore the last couple of years. And guys, if you haven't already, jabroni, like the video. It helps other NFL fans, Raider fans, Raven fans, Raider Nation, Raven Nation find this video. So make sure to like the video. Think about the Maxx Crosby and the defenses he's been on and the Ravens the last couple of years. The Ravens, have blown more leads than any team in the NFL. Why? They can't get to the quarterback. They can't get to the quarterback. So who needed a game wrecker, a game changer, a game closer more than the Ravens? You can make an argument, nobody. Up on the Bills, loss. Up on the Patriots, loss. All the good teams last year they played, they're winning and they lose. Think about that. Okay? Then also think about Maxx Crosby. How many times has he been in a game where he's leading in a game? So yeah, he hasn't been able to have those 20 sack seasons. That's what makes what Myles Garrett did this year so ridiculous, because Myles Garrett had never really been on that level before. Right? In terms of sacks, that is. Now, when looking at his grading, Maxx Crosby, 2021, he was second according to PFF, fourth in 2022, fourth in 2023. In 24 and 25, he fell off a little bit, 25th in 24 and 15th in 25. I think he's been dealing with more injuries the last couple of years, like wear and tear nagging injuries, than from that 21 through 23 stretch, which we might look back at his prime. But I honestly don't know if the Ravens need Maxx Crosby to reach his absolute peak for this to be a W of a trade. 2 first-round picks is valuable. This year, you would look at that pick as being a pretty good pick for the foundation of the Raiders' future. Next year, I don't think the pick is going to be all that great. It's probably going to be in the mid-20s, at best. Crosby this year, 8th run defense grade, 19th in pass rush grade. That's according to PFF. Again, just checking some of his stats because I like to do that stuff. Last year, he had 53 pressures on the season on 515 snaps. 53 pressures. Let's just check the regular season. Obviously, he did not play the full season, so he played 15 games. Keep that in mind. What's up, Negan? What's up, Zach, I guess? Capone? A lot of blown leads come from Harbaugh. Malpractice, he says. 53 pressures, was 20th in the NFL, tied with Brian Burns, who had 15 sacks last season. So a pretty good year, but Maxx Crosby has had previous seasons where he's led the NFL in pressures. And I'm pretty sure like 2021, 2022, 2023, every year he was in the top 3 in the NFL in pressures. I'm pretty sure one year he had over 100. I'm going to check that just out of curiosity. Now, looking at Baltimore's depth chart, in 2021, he had 101 pressures, which was 20 more than any player in the NFL. So just throwing that out there. 2021, he had 101 pressures. That is insane. Looking at Baltimore's edge rush. So Mike Green, second round pick from last year, very talented. I really like that player. I think he can be something. Tavius Robinson is a depth player. Other than that, everyone else is a free agent. Draymond Jones, who played really well for the Ravens last year when they traded for him from Tennessee, inside-outside versatility, interior defensive line, edge rush type of capacity. They might re-sign him, they might not. Obviously, he was brought in not for Jesse Menter, but for someone else. Kyle Van Noy is also a free agent. He might be re-signed, might not, might retire, I don't know, do something. But David Ojabo, also a free agent. Kyle Van Noy fell off significantly last year as a pass rusher. I think he fell from double-digit sacks to like 2 or 3. He was more of a role player. Mike Green, I think, could really benefit from this Maxx Crosby move. He could really, start to tee off with on the other side of Maxx Crosby. Like, look out for him in year 2 because he's very talented in terms of his pass rushing skill set. Tavius Robinson, like I said, is more of like a run-stuffing, edge rush, edge-setting type of edge. Draymond Jones could be back. And then at the same time, now that you have Maxx Crosby, it's not desperate that you get another edge player. Obviously, you don't have your first-round pick. The Ravens were likely to use their first-round pick on defense, probably on the edge rusher, but I don't know exactly where they would have used it, depending on what they would have done in free agency. There's other complementary edge rushers out there as well that they could sign. There's plenty of them. Like, there are guys that worked with Jesse Menter, including Khalil Mack, including Odafe Owe. There's guys like older guys like Joey Bosa and Jadeveon Clowney and Bradley Chubb who are still playing pretty well. There's guys like Boye Mafe. They're probably not going to be in the Jalen Phillips sweepstakes, but as you guys can see, there's lots of edge rushers still if they do want to add quality depth in free agency and spend some money there. But obviously a large portion of their cap is going to go to Maxx Crosby as well. But I think what this just enables you to do is, especially Maxx Crosby is so valuable because he plays so many snaps. So it's not like you're constantly having to rotate him, right? That's what also makes him so valuable is that he's always on the field. So you kind of always know he's going to be out there somewhere. Now, their run defense was actually elite by the end of the season. I'm not sure what the future holds for Madubuike in terms of his progress with the serious neck injury and stuff like that. But their secondary is awesome. And I'm really excited for Jesse Menter because he's going to have an extremely talented secondary. And now he has a alpha pass rusher, game wrecker, and a guy that he can formulate his pass rush through up front. I love Nate Wiggins. Kyle Hamilton's a great player. Marlon Humphrey's still a good player. Malachi Starks is an ascending player. Gilman will probably return next year. There is a lot to like about this Ravens defense next year because you're going to have a guy that can get to the quarterback, can stop the run, can do it all. He's going to make everyone around him better, including Travis Jones, including Mike Green, or whoever else is with him. And then that secondary, especially with more of a zone-heavy approach, I think is really going to thrive because I think at this portion of his career, Marlon Humphrey, much better in that zone coverage capacity. Kyle Hamilton, always been more of a zone guy. Nate Wiggins is the only really real guy that's like more of a man-to-man cover corner, but he's really great at both. So I'm really excited for Jesse Minter's defense. This is going to be one of the ascending defenses in the NFL this year. One of the top units in the NFL, in my opinion, that Ravens defense. I'm just going off the top of my head, guys, and I'm just kind of going back and forth, and I'll get to your comments here in a second. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe, guys. Check out the other free agency content. It's been a little bit of a rough ride here in February and March in terms of the viewership, and I understand it's the NFL offseason, but if you guys could check out those videos, I have been putting some pretty good stuff out there, including calling DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills, so I do know what I'm talking about sometimes. But that being said, with the Raiders. I think this was the right move for the Raiders. Like, I don't understand anyone that would have a problem with this trade for the Raiders. I think the only problem Raiders fans might have with this trade is the fact that they didn't get more from the trade. They got 2 first-round picks. And when comparing that to Micah Parsons, they got less than what Micah Parsons got. Now, that being said, Micah Parsons was about 3 years younger. At least 2 years younger than Maxx Crosby, with less nagging injury history entering that trade. Basically a clean bill of health entering that trade. So I never understood the rumors that the Raiders were asking for a Micah Parsons trade. Because to me, that felt like too much for a player that is 29, like a year away from being 30. And may or may not have already passed his peak, as we discussed. 2021 through 2023, Maxx Crosby was an assassin. Like, downright disgusting. Like, 17 games each of the 3 seasons, All-Pro in each of the 3 seasons, Defensive Player of the Year votes in 2 of the seasons, had 101 pressures in 2021. You know, if I were to look at the other seasons, like, he's probably going to be a little past that peak. Now, could he still have one of these years where he has 100 pressures? Maybe. But, you know, like, maybe. It's possible. Especially given that he'll be in the lead more and they'll be in more pass situations. And he's playing with the best, defensive coach he's ever had. In 2022, he was 3rd in pressures behind Bosa and Parsons with 81. So there you go. Again, like, that peak that he had is just... he may never reach that again, but he's still really, really good. That's what I would like. He's still really awesome, especially when it comes to the run game. Like, I don't think people understand Maxx Crosby is really good against the run too. Like, he is outstanding. You could make an argument he's the best. He was 4th in 2023 in pressures, 94 that year behind Bosa, Hutchinson, and Parsons. So when you look at his run defense, he's been one of the top in the game too. So, yeah. But again, with the Raiders, I feel like this year it's going to be interesting because you've got a young coach, you've got a young quarterback, Mendoza, that you got to build around. You've got Brock Bowers, you've got Ashton Genty. You're going to have to rebuild that offensive line. They have a lot of money, and there's a good amount of offensive linemen they could get in free agency too. They might be able to sneak in a wide receiver in free agency. Like, I like Romeo Doubs or someone of that nature for them. But now you're looking at, guys, they didn't just need one player. They needed a whole defense. That's the thing. They didn't just need one player, they needed a whole defense. You think about who do they have that's foundational on defense outside of Maxx Crosby? No one. Absolutely no one. Tyree Wilson hasn't turned into that player. It's not Adam Butler, who's old. Landon Roberts, Devin White, Malcolm Kuntz, Eric Stokes, Lonnie Johnson Jr., they're all free agents. Jamal Adams, Terrell Edmonds, all free agents. Every single one of those guys. Jeremy Chin is a solid player. He's not a foundational player. Isaiah Paolo, the other safety, he's okay. Like, they need an entire defense, guys. Think about that for a second. An entire defense. And so you get rid of the contract. You get 2 first-round picks. You get younger. That's exactly what the Raiders should do. There's no question about it. Absolutely. That's what they should be doing. What they should be doing, absolutely. So, I agree with this move for the Raiders. I agree with this move for the Ravens. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the Ravens are back. Because now they have a closer, they have a game changer, they have a game wrecker, and they have a huge compliment to Lamar Jackson on the other side. Lamar Jackson was teasing us with his little tweets. I see you, Lamar. Now they have questions about Tyler Linderbaum. He's probably gone. They're going to have to find a center. They need a right guard. Falele is a free agent. The offense is going to look a little bit different. It's going to be more Detroit, Ben Johnson, Chicago, Ben Johnson-esque. We'll see how that turns out. They don't need a lot on offense, though. Isaiah Likely is going to be gone for sure. They might need another weapon of some sort. Receiver, tight end, and they're going to have to take care of that interior offensive line. But their offense should be top 10 in the league with Lamar, with Derrick Henry, with Zay Flowers. They should still be top 10 in the league. Defensively, they're definitely going to be top 10 in the league. They have a top secondary, one of the best secondaries in the league. Now they have Maxx Crosby. They still got Roquan Smith. I think Mike Green's going to take a huge step. Travis Jones is a really good player. We'll see about Matabike. So, they could be a top 10 offense, top 10 defense. Clowney to the Seahawks. I put that in my predictions video, bro. I like the fit. I think a return to Mike McDonald would make a lot of sense for their depth. And Clowney played really well last year. Jordan says the Raiders and Jets have been doing good job lately. If only the Jets coach didn't suck, they could both be on the come up soon. Yeah, I would be, honestly, like, I think if you're a Raiders fan, you have to look at this as a necessary evil in terms of, sure, did we just lose the player I love the most on the team? Does that hurt like a spear in my heart? A little bit, but at the same time, I just gave you your defensive depth chart. You look at it without rose-colored glasses, bro. You had no one. No one. And I get it, you have $90, $100 million in cap. Now you have even more. You might have the most in the league. You're going to have a lot of picks. I know Raiders fans are sick of rebuilding, but this is the best potential rebuild they've had in years. A first overall pick at quarterback and a young coach who's coming off a Super Bowl win as an offensive coordinator. That's a pretty good start. And you got Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. That's a pretty good start, man. And how many first-round picks? So if I was the Raiders, I would be pretty pumped. I would be pumped. Even if Maxx Crosby leaving would hurt me, you know. But, hey, as an NFL fan, I'm pumped. Because now Maxx Crosby's going to be playing meaningful football for the first time in his career. Meaningful football. He had one season where he made the playoffs, I believe. 2021. Outside of 2021, he hasn't played a meaningful snap of football. Finally. This is why I wanted Maxx Crosby to be traded. Because as a football fan, I want to see great players playing in great moments. Big moments. I don't want to see Myles Garrett in Cleveland for the rest of his life. Zach says Brown's going to want the next 3 first-round picks. What would the asking price be for Myles Garrett? Probably 3 first-round picks. Maybe more. Maybe more. Probably 3. Negan says, get off Herbert's D, Jordan. Damn. Why are we fighting about Herbert? Herbert's great. What's up, Gypsy? Nikhil, what's up? If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. Zach says, Mitch, no ball. Ravens defense definitely going to be top 5 unit under Menter. Beaks working out. He posted on his IG. All right, sounds good. Clara says, yeah, the Raiders will suck again, but be a little better. No, they will suck again. And think about it. Where are the Raiders going with Maxx Crosby when they've got to face Mahomes and Andy Reid, the Broncos before Bo Nix is paid any money, and Justin Herbert with Mike McDaniel? They're not winning anything for the next couple years. So they might as well rebuild anyways. I really hope Raiders fans are not mad about this trade because it's a good trade. It's a good trade. Apparently the Cowboys were closest to making this happen outside of the Ravens. That's what everyone reported. But it fell apart or something. I don't know. Cowboys fans should be angry. Because they were this close. to getting Mad Max. Niners will be better than the Rams in 2026, says Rudy. Damn. Rams are current Super Bowl favorites, bro. Negan says 3 firsts and 2 seconds for Garrett. That seems like too much. Gypsy says, hey, Mitch, what do you think about the Cowboys not trading for Maxx Crosby? There we go. I think I'm good on it. Also, I will suggest you a new song. Jamie McDonald, Desperate. Are you desperate, Gypsy? Are the Cowboys desperate? I would say this. Yes, I would have loved to have seen the Cowboys get Maxx Crosby. That being said, I think there are plenty of opportunities for them to get better this offseason. I also will say this. Trading Parsons to get a bunch of picks, and then trading a bunch of picks to get Crosby doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, obviously, they would have traded Parsons for a bunch of picks, traded Quinnen Williams for a pick or two, then gotten Maxx Crosby for a pick or two. That would maybe sound a bit better, but it's essentially trading Parsons for Crosby. It just doesn't make sense because Crosby is older, and sure, Parsons makes more money, and sure, Crosby is more well-rounded, but again, he's older. So it's like, we could use those picks on our corner position, our safety position, our linebacker position. And here's the thing about the Cowboys. Sure, could they use a Maxx Crosby? Everyone could, and that makes your defense immensely better. But they also need multiple positions. And you need the cap and the picks to be able to fulfill that. Also, Dallas has been a good drafting team. So draft picks, I feel like, for Dallas are worthwhile. I think this was also a worthwhile trade now that I'm thinking of it for the Ravens because of the Lamar Jackson window. When you think about it, the Lamar Jackson prime, the Lamar Jackson window is going to expire within the next 2 to 3 years. Because Lamar Jackson is not a quarterback archetype that is sustainable past 32, 33 years old. Like, he is not going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league when he's 35. I just don't see it. When the twitchiness and the quickness and the explosiveness fades, Lamar will still be functional. But how do we know that that won't affect Lamar like it did Russell Wilson, who also relied on playmaking, creation, quickness, elusiveness, more than any other quarterback maybe in the history of football? Russell Wilson. Now, maybe Lamar is more refined than that, but the point stands. So that's also another reason why picks don't matter for the Ravens. They should be in on winning now. Now. Nikhil says A.J. Brown will win Pat's Super Bowl. I hope so, bro. Claire says the Raiders will win 4 games instead of 2. That's fair. Claire, how you doing? I missed you. Yabba Dabba says, why are we even talking about this? We all know the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl for the next 5 years. Yabba Dabba, you're drunk again. Leave my chat. Guys, go check out my free agency predictions videos, man. I will be dropping a final predictions for free agency. 100 free agency predictions. You heard it. 100. I'll probably drop that on Sunday. I need a day to work on it, okay? Give me a day. 100. Jordan says, if A.J. Brown falls through, as I think it will, Alec Pierce, one of the veteran left guards in free agency, and an edge in the draft, J.C. Starr. I think we're getting A.J. Brown and Alec Pierce and Joel Bitonio and Taylor Decker, bro. All of them. We're getting all of them. No, but for real, I think New England's going to get not 1, but 2 receivers somehow. I don't know who, but we're going to get 2 receivers. And we're going to get an upgrade on the offensive line, especially at left guard for sure. I honestly, Alec Pierce and AJ Brown both is not too far off. I think that is actually realistic. I think that could happen. I think it could happen. Just throwing that out there. All right, guys, I'm not sure what else I have to say about this one. I think it's a W for the Ravens. I'm excited for Maxx Crosby. And I think it was a good, smart move, although painful for Raider Nation. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for tuning in at such a late hour on a Friday. I hope you guys will watch all my free agency stuff, man. It's Mitch. I love you all. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the comments. Peace, guys.